Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. Almost 6 years of Torah every single weekday morning, with people all over the world coming together to learn Torah, to say hi to each other, to share what's going on in life, and to lift each other up. Jonathan and Barbara, Susie, good to see you. Rosa, yes, we are praying for the farmers and fishermen and small businesses, your neighbors in Malta, dealing with the devastation of Storm Harry. I had not heard the extent of the destruction. Force 10 gales, we are with you, and I'm so sorry. Linda and Jack, Carl and Amy, Boker Tov, Arlene and Natalia, good morning. Good to see you. Hi, Lydia. Maria, good morning. Nice to see you. Boker Tov. Joyce and Dale, Karen and Linda, George and Cecile. Nice to see you all too. Dave and Jerry, Siona and Marilyn, Boker Tov. All right, let's start with a bracha. We're going to learn some Torah. Hi, Marilyn. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Debbie. Okay. Hi, Mark. So good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of you. I've already said the bracha for learning, but l'chaim to all of you. Parshat Bo is extraordinary for what it includes. Not only does it tell the story of the end of our enslavement in Egypt, and it includes 3 terrible plagues. Not only does it make clear that Pharaoh was hell-bent on imprisoning and enslaving and subjugating not just the Israelites, but also other groups, as we described yesterday, the Erev Rav, the assembly, people who were not, I'll use the word Jewish, even though there was no word Jewish in those days. People who were not Jewish tied their fate to the Jewish people and emerged with us as we were liberated from Egypt. And we are told in this parsha, Torah achat, as we said yesterday, one Torah, one rule, one system of law for everybody, a system based on justice and equality, based on an understanding of what it was to be a marginalized part of society, and the compulsion, the command, not to do that to anybody else. It is extraordinary what is in this week's parsha. But so too is it important for us not to lose sight that those ideals accompanied the birth of our people. Whereas Genesis is really to be understood as a family story. That's how we began. It begins with the biggest possible horizon, the creation of the universe, and then it focuses down to the beginning of one family. with Avram and Sarai. And by the end of Genesis, we're in Egypt with Yosef and all of his siblings. And then the beginning of Shmot, which we just read 2 weeks ago, we are in Egypt and there are a lot of us. So many that the head of state is concerned that we will pose a destabilizing impact, a threat on the welfare of society. And so little by little, he erodes our standing. And here we are, suddenly free. That's, by the way, the right way to think about it. Suddenly free. Now, to make sure you understand, you remember where we are in the narrative. We haven't yet gotten to the sea. We literally just escaped Egypt. And we're running for it. The matzahs are on our backs. This is where we are before we get to the sea. The first mitzvah, the first commandment upon us as a people happens in this week's Parsha. There are other commands that have happened elsewhere in the book of Bereshit, but this is the first one commanded upon us as a people. It's before Sinai, too. Really interesting to think about that. And what is it? The beginning of chapter 12 of the book of Exodus. I'll offer you the Hebrew here. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe ve'el Aharon be'eretz Mitzrayim lemor. HaChodesh hazeh lachem rosh chodashim, rishon hu lachem lechodshei hashana. In English, God said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, "This month shall mark for you the beginning of the months. It shall be the first of the months of the year for you." The first command that we receive as a people actually is commanded in Egypt. And it could be understood in a very, very profound and simple to say sentence. You must own your own time. Our calendar, that there is such a thing as the Hebrew calendar, is often overlooked and barely even acknowledged except for when holidays fall. I wonder, when we say the high holidays came early this year, that's only according to a Gregorian calendar. On the Hebrew calendar, it's always the same time. And so what does it mean when the Torah says, this month shall mark for you? Listen to that language. This month shall mark for you. HaChodesh hazeh lachem. This is for you. Time is also yours. And that's the essential definition of freedom. Because what's the difference between enslavement and freedom at core? Obviously, there are many answers to that question, but at core, control over your time. What you do within time. And so this is an empowering dislodging of enslavement from within the collective Jewish consciousness. We are suddenly free, and now we will begin to mark time. And it's interesting to think about how the Torah understands the calendar, because it's different than the way that we typically think about it. We think about Rosh Hashanah as the beginning of the year. That's literally what those words mean, Rosh, head, Hashanah, of the year. But actually, listen to the verse one more time. This month shall mark for you the beginning of the months. It shall be the first of the months of the year for you. For the Torah, the year does not begin in Tishrei, the month of Rosh Hashanah. For the Torah, the year begins with Nisan, the month that includes Passover, Pesach. Why? Because that's the beginning of Jewish time. And Jewish time is the beginning of Jewish freedom. Now, it's a long conversation, and it's important, of course, to remember that when we say this is the way Jewish time is marked, the very beginnings of this includes those who travel with us. We need not sequester ourselves in the way we mark time. It's powerful to have outward signs of the way we live our Jewish lives, and in fact, to share it with love and kindness. What is it to mark time and to share that marking of time? It's to celebrate how we go through time, the lives that we lead, the essential nature of what it is to be human through a Jewish lens. And so, what a gift to think about this as the first mitzvah the Jewish people ever received, and to remember that we hadn't yet left Egypt. But the stirring of freedom within our consciousness is the undoing of hundreds of years of enslavement. And we need to think about it in those terms, because when we received the language of the impending liberation from Moses and Aaron sent by God, you might remember this. This is the beginning of the book of Shemot, not too long ago. We couldn't hear it. The Torah says they weren't able to hear it because of kotzer ruach, because of a shortness of spirit, or maybe even constricted breath. What enslavement did to us was the inability to conceive of living with our own agency, living on our own terms, marking time as a people, being able to decide within time what we would do. How beautiful it is to know that the beginning of our peoplehood, of being Am Yisrael, is the recognition that we make decisions about how we go through time together. That is a specific kind of freedom. It's not aimlessness. It should never be understood in Hebrew as hefkerut. It should be understood and deeply appreciated that the very first mitzvah that we receive as a people is the mitzvah of having our own calendar, of marking time. And that for us, the beginning of marking time as Jews, well, in the Torah, as Israelites, that happens while we are still in Egypt. And that stirring perhaps begins to expand our lungs' capacity to breathe in the possibility of the future. May we be blessed not only as a Jewish community to cherish that and to learn more deeply about what Jewish time includes and what Jewish values within time should lead us to decide to do. But we should also be mindful that even in these first moments, the first steps we took out from bondage, we did not do so alone. There are others who were inspired to travel with us and to live within our framework of time and values and conscience. You think about the beautiful and textured reality in the state of Israel, where more than 20% of Israel's citizens are not Jewish. And they mark time saying things like Shabbat Shalom, which only in Israel would such a thing make sense, and they struggle for recognition for the Jewish values that were the aspirational commitments of the founders of the state. It's a modern version of what we read about in this week's Parsha. We travel with the Erev Rav. They choose to travel with us. What a blessing it is to not go through time alone, to think about this, to really take hold of the responsibilities that come with freedom. Will we always get it right? No. But we are taught over and over by tradition that ours is to start the work. And we're blessed. We're not the first to start the work, but every person connected to this people is called to start the work over and over and over again. And that is the blessing of freedom, to make conscious, values-driven decisions within time. It is our calendar. What we do within it is in our hands. May we be blessed to make beautiful decisions worthy of all of this inherited legacy. Let's take a breath, friends. Send our hearts to the east and sing. Kolon balevav פנימה, נפש יהודי הומיה, ולפתי מזרח קדימה, עין לציון צופיה. עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו, התקווה בת שנות 2000, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends.